newsletter or something. I got one from RCA headquarters, and it said that they had, one of their experimenters had an object he was flying around that had an anti-gravity drive. In other words, it was self-levitating and could be moved around. And I thought, well, why are we doing this? Why are we messing with all these rockets when we could do this? So I called up headquarters, and first they said, well, it's not true. The experiment didn't really work. And then they said the document didn't even exist. And I said, well, I got it right in my hands here. And I already knew that Noah Tesla had flown a platform around in the very early 1900s, like 1904. I don't believe that we've gone backwards in technology, and the Russians grabbed everything they could of that technology. And I assume that our government grabbed some of it or all of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can levitate an iceberg, you could end a drought. I mean, you could land in a dry lake bed. You could change architecture.
The work that Hutchins has been doing, he has Tesla coils, he has Van de Graaff, and he has, very frankly, static electricity generators. Notice that data doesn't have to make sense.
Right.
Data just has to be truthful.
The truth.
That's right.
It's more important than proving Einstein right or wrong.
Okay, now his data showed everything from a chocolate milkshake snaking toward the top of his room to bowling balls floating in the air.
Very little effort required, about as much as lifting an umbrella, and no centrifugal force. Now, of course, we have the problem of stopping it.
Nikola Tesla was a great inventor and a great humanitarian. Well, Tesla wanted to get into his field, which was free, if you will, energy that comes from the surroundings. He was hired by J.P. Morgan to work with Westinghouse and Edison companies on the East Coast. And Tesla said, I've got it made. I think we can now transmit electrical power through the Earth, through the ionosphere, without any wires or telephone poles. If you gave a device, like a free energy device, a generator that would service all their needs in their home for free, they could then bring out their creative talents, which they were born with and had been suppressed because they've had to toil for a living. They could be tremendous artists beyond our dreams, tremendous engineers beyond our dreams. J.P. Morgan was not buying it. He said, no, we're going to have to tear this stuff down. So Tesla kind of pulled back into himself and decided, well, I guess it's not time for this.
He took a whole bunch of these bug wings and he glued them to like a Venetia blind structure, and he put it into a little platform he built. So they were all, these bug wings were all covered in here. And he used I theorize he used the wing covers as well as the inner wing itself. There's also a kind of a handlebar on this thing with some controls. You can see the thing a little better here in detail. The controls, I think, had to be manipulated continuously and probably vibrated to create the same action that the bug was doing. There was also down at the base some kind of a lever, which I suspect controlled the amount of lift he was getting out of this thing. Anyway, Grebennikov claimed that he could fly this thing or levitate it, and it would go around at almost 1,000 miles an hour. Now you ask, how can that happen? Well, he said that there was an energy field that built up around this thing due to this gravity field building up in the platform. And by this thing building up, it built out a force field that basically surrounded him and protected him from the local environment. So even though he was flying at 1,000 miles an hour, you could go, you could be wearing your Sunday best suit and not get it flutter a bit at 1,000 miles an hour. But if you get into the other things he did with shape, they almost mirror the stuff that I discovered. And it proves, I guess, that, there's either two crazy people